Hello everyone, welcome to another Josekis lesson. In this video, let's keep talking about this pressing attachment move at number 6 by white. In the previous two videos, we learned about black's response here at number 7, this honey move, and white has a few choices here, here, or here. In this video, let's look at number 7 right here, at the 3-5 point. This move was overlooked by human players before AI, because we thought that after white's number 8 here, this is a classic pattern where white stones are all on the 4th line and black stones are all on the 3rd line. And we believed that this is not going to be great for black because black position here is simply too low. It's as if number 6 is trying to get a high position and number 7 just allowed white to connect on the 4th line. So before we considered this bad for black, but AI actually really likes this move at number 7. So let's see how AI follows up with a series of new Josekis. So after white's number 8 here, black must play right here, this crawl. Note that if black plays this honey now, white will be very happy to occupy the corner with number 10. And black still needs to take care of this cutting point by playing this tiger's mouth. This way, clearly white benefits because these two stones are surrounding the corner on the 4th line, and this is pretty big. In comparison, if we get to this result, which is a basic variation that you can remember from this video, then these two stones are on the 3rd line if we count from the left side. And this is about even, right? This is an even way for white to occupy the corner. But if these two stones, if you move them one space to the right, then that's a very good way for white to occupy the corner. So one space makes a huge difference here. So after black comes into the corner here, white has two choices according to AI, but if you're a human player, it's really 3. So the two moves that AI suggests are this one and this one. And if you're a human player, you can also play this if you like to experiment with some fights. So let's look at this one first. This is the most straightforward. Black, at this point, should play the honey. When you get a chance to play on the 4th line, you should, right? If you play the 3-3 point, then white will play on the outside, and black will occupy a relatively low position. It is the equivalent of black coming into the 3-3 point and crawling 3 more moves on the 3rd line. So this is slightly better for white, but of course this is also playable for black. And of course, playing here on the 3rd line will be a little too low. White can take cente, right? Even after number 11 on the 4th line, white can still take cente because these 4 stones are not afraid of being attacked. If black takes the corner by occupying the 3-3 point, white can always play on the outside like this. This is totally fine, and white will not be under attack. If black plays on the outside like this, then white can always move into the 3-3 point, and this will be plenty of space to make a living shape. If white does want to follow up after number 11, this honey would be a natural sequence. And now black has 2 choices. One is to keep playing on the 4th line. So usually this pressing move would be considered pretty good for black before AI, but now it's considered slightly better for white because white has this wall on the outside. So a better move for black is to play right here at number 13, and white will just extend a couple times. Note that even after number 17 here, white still needs to extend. Otherwise, black has this honey and double honey, and these 3 stones are very short on liberties, and white will have to take care of this cutting point. So it will end up being something like this, and white is over-concentrated here, and black has a great shape toward the center. So I see a lot of amateur players ignoring black's number 17 in similar situations, where these 3 stones are very short on liberties. So most of the time, you'll have to play another extension. And once you get to 4 stones, right, you can ignore black's pressing move, or you can honey, right? When you have 4 stones here, it's no longer short on liberties, and you're not really afraid of this double honey, because now, after cutting here at number 27, black cannot really capture any of white's stones, right? So this way, white should be okay, and black will likely be all dead. And that's why this can be considered a Joseki here on the upper left corner. Now black can take Sente. If you have an empty board like this, obviously a move here on the left side will be the logical follow-up. And of course this leaves a cutting point right here, and white can kind of trigger this fight at any moment. After these exchanges, black should probably consider moving into the corner to settle the group, take the corner territory, and this is going to be a fight. Because white still not 100% strong, right? White still can't play something like this because of this cutting point. It's probably best for white to just extend on the upper side like this, or play this corner approach. Right, so this is going to develop into a fight after white's number 20 and 22. If you're black in this situation and if you're afraid of this fight, you can always kind of take care of this cutting point by playing an extra move, a little slow, but it's actually also playable in this situation, where you can move into the corner like this. So black has choices, and black doesn't really need to be afraid of being attacked anytime soon. So that's this Joseki right here after white's number 10. But of course, number 10 can also be here. Now what's happening is that black's best move is this Hane right here. It's really important. If black simply plays here, now again, black is all on the third line, not very efficient. And now all white needs to do is to connect here, where you can also play this descent. They're very similar. So now white has a very solid shape, and black still needs to play another move here to kind of finish this variation. And white takes Sente. So this would be considered good for white, because black is on the third line, and white is pretty solid here. So why does black need another move here? Why can't black take Sente and play on the corner? This is because white's pincer here will be really harsh. This is informed by life and death, right? Because making a living shape here will be gote, right? Even if you can make a living shape here, and it's doubtful if black can make a living shape here at all, right? So that's why number 14 here is very sharp. And that's why life and death is really important. As I emphasize in my game reviews and these Joseki lessons, it's not about building two eyes. It's really about your strategy. Life and death informs you whether you should try to settle a group or not. Because these 4 stones can't really make a living shape very easily after white's pincer here. Black still needs a move, which is relatively slow at this stage of the game. So that is why number 11 needs to be here. Now if white connects, which is the recommended move by AI, black can play this tiger's mouth, and this goes back to one of the first variations we saw. This is a Joseki. White takes Sente. It's about even. AI would prefer it for black because AI chose to play number 7, right? But I would say this is about dead even for both sides. And of course, if you like fighting, or if you like testing your opponent, you can always play this cutting move. It's a really sharp move, but because AI prefers number 7 as black and suggests this number 11, this Hane move, that means AI is really not afraid of this cut. And there are ways that black can deal with this cut, right? So this cut obviously makes these 3 stones very short on liberties. So if you're black, you need to be really careful here. What should you do? Black's best move is to play this Hane right here. And now white has a couple of choices. One is to play on the outside, and black will cut here. Black cannot just play something like this and make a living shape. This way, black's territory is simply too small, and white's wall on the outside is too strong. So this is not acceptable for black. So black must cut here to try to capture number 10. And in this situation, when your stone is under Atari on the third line, 99% of the time, or at least 95% of the time, you cannot give it up, right? This is a key lesson for beginners. You have to make this descent to increase your own liberties to 3, even if you end up giving up 2 stones instead of just 1, right? This is not okay. If you allow your opponent to just capture your stone here on the third line, this is always going to be bad for you. So let's see this variation where white descends, extending to 3 liberties. And now what happens is that black must block from the inside. And now what happens is that white cannot save these 2 stones. If you try to save these 2 stones by crawling here, this is not going to work, because white's 3 stones here are also very short on liberties. If you take care of something on the corner, then there's still this cut. And the best white can do is to start this code. But of course, at the beginning of this game, there's not a lot of code threats, but black actually has local code threats. Number 35, number 37, these are all local code threats. So white cannot win this code, and white has too many things to take care of. So white will lose this race to capture. So what should white do now? White should simply play this honey, still threatening to capture, but in this process, it's really giving up these two stones. But because 10 and 16 had 3 liberties left after number 16, white can play a whole series of moves here on the outside to kind of make use of these 2 sacrificed stones. And now in this situation, number 11 can be captured on the ladder. There's no black stone here breaking the ladder. So number 26 can be here, and black has 1 real eye here on the corner, and black does not want to be forced to make another real eye here on the first line, right? So black will extend here, and this is also a Joseki. It's slightly better for black according to AI, but I think it's perfectly playable for both sides, as long as white captures number 11, right? Otherwise, if number 11 gets to escape, then white will be in a tough position. So that's number 14 right here, right? It has to be followed by this cut and number 15, and then it gets a little complicated after this. Right, so this is the sequence. Once again, if you want to remember it, please go ahead and try this out. Another move for white in this situation is to play this double honey and number 14. It's a really good move, right? Because if you don't play this double honey, if you play something like this, then number 12 will be captured. Because of number 13 setup, black will be able to win this race to capture. But now if number 14 is at the 2-2 point, black will still lose this race to capture. So number 14 is in essence keeping black's liberties short. So what should black do now? Black doesn't actually need to worry. All black needs to do is to try to capture number 12. So once again, if you're under Atari on the 3rd line, always descend to the 2nd line. It's always the correct move, even if you end up losing both of these stones, right? Even if you sacrifice 1 more stone, you have to extend liberties, because extending liberties will give you all kinds of opportunities to play on the outside and make use of these stones. So it's a really important takeaway for beginners to remember. So now black will block from this side, and the best thing for white to do is actually to give up 1 more stone. So now, of course, black cannot play here. This way black will be dead, right? But what black can do is to simply connect here, and because black has this cut and capture, white's number 20 will have to take care of this weakness on the outside. And now this is a 3-on-3 race to capture, and black will be able to capture these 3 white stones. But because white has extra liberties now, white can get to play this Atari, which is always a good move for white to make. And once again, white has Sente. AI again would suggest that black has a slight advantage here, but I think, again, for amateurs, this is about dead even, because it is AI that really prefers number 7 and all this sequence after number 7 for black. So of course it's going to favor black in most of these variations, but I think this is perfectly playable for both sides. Note that number 18 probably shouldn't be here, because black will get to play this Atari. And what happens now is that white will need an extra move to take care of number 19. Or if white takes Sente, number 19 might be able to move out sometime in the future and start a fight. Right? So this is not as preferable for white as the situation where white gives up 3 stones instead of just 2. So that's white's response at number 14 here. So it's getting really complicated. Let's talk about this move right here. This honey on the outside is not great because it's really just giving black the corner. And the correct move for black, once again, is this honey, which again exposes black to a potential weakness. It seems like a weakness, but actually it's not. So once again, if whites play something like this, then black will be able to play all these forcing moves against number 12 and 14 and start some kind of fight here. So it's gonna get really complicated. But black should be able to prevail in the race to capture. But if you're afraid of all the complexity, you can simply play here. The 3-3 point is black. So again, this is considered slightly better for white, but of course it's perfectly playable for black because this is the equivalent of taking the corner via a 3-3 invasion. And now, in this situation, if white relents, then this will obviously be very good for black, because a 3-3 invasion would not have allowed black to take the corner this comfortably. So that is why number 10 on the outside is probably not a good idea. In most circumstances, certainly not when the board is quite empty. The correct move for white is to play this hane, or to play this extension. Lastly, let's briefly talk about the situation where white blocks from this side. And now, obviously, the logical follow-up for black is this push. And the best move for white in this situation is actually this extension. Black comes out this way, always very satisfying when you can cut off your opponent's stone like this, right? This way, number 6 is completely kind of wasted against black's wall. It's as if white made this exchange with number 6 and 5, and obviously black benefits from this exchange. This way, it's definitely benefiting black, this whole exchange, or black can play on the side as well. But if you're white and if you like taking territory like this on the 4th line, then it might also be playable for you. What will lead to a lot of complications is when white plays right here, when white tries to block black with number 10. So according to AI, this is going to be a tough fight for white, because black will cut here. Notice that black should not play the Atari first. Right? You might want to save this Atari for later. So cutting here is a good idea, and this will lead to all kinds of complications that I will not play out in this video. If you have an AI program, try it out on your own. If you want to try this in games, of course, go ahead and try it, see what happens. The idea here is that both sides will have 2 groups to worry about. White will not be completely alive on the corner, and black will be kind of short on liberties. But in terms of probability, black will likely prevail and benefit from this fight. So that is why number 8 is not really recommended, especially for beginners and amateur players. If you're white in this situation, just connect here, very solid shape, and just play this or this. And this is a good way for white to respond to black's number 7, which is preferred by AI. But this way, white takes the corner. It's a pretty even outcome, and white gets sente, which is always very important. So if you're a beginner, this might be a little too complicated. Just know that number 7 exists, and whenever you need to review this Joseki, come back to this video. If you're a stronger player and if you're interested in all these fights, make sure you go through these variations on your own and understand what each move is all about. As always, let me know if you have any questions. Good luck, and thank you for watching.